Hi, everybody, and welcome to our session, Operationalizing AI in Market Research, How Simple Modern Balances Automation and Human Judgment. I'm Quirk's editor, Joe Ridholm, and before we get started today, let's quickly go over the ways you can participate in today's discussion. You can use the chat tab to interact with other attendees during the session, and you can use the Q&A tab to submit questions for the presenters during the session, and we'll answer as many as we have time for at the end. Our session today is presented by Listen Labs. Alfred, take it away.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. So, what would you do? That was a big question that Chris asked himself. If you didn't have a big market research budget, you didn't have no national focus groups, and still you had to make real marketing decisions, millions of dollars on the line, what would you do? Well, today we're going to talk about that, and Chris is going to share what he actually did to figure this thing out. I'm Alfred. I'm the CEO and co-founder of Listen, and one of us has a Swedish accent, and one of us has a Oklahoma accent, and maybe you can guess who is who.
Yeah, maybe by the end they'll be able to tell Alfred, but I bet it's going to be hard for them at the beginning. So, my name is Chris Hoyle. As Alfred said, I'm the CMO at Simple Modern. I am we're an Oklahoma-based company, and I went to the University of Oklahoma. Alfred went to Harvard, which makes sense that we would be partnering together because often the University of Oklahoma is considered the Harvard of Oklahoma. No, but I'm excited to be here with Alfred, and I just want to talk a bit about our experience with Listen and how it really benefited our business. So, in case you don't know, Simple Modern is it's a national drinkware brand located in Oklahoma. As I mentioned, our mission statement is we exist to give generously, and we are found in places like Amazon, Target, Whole Foods, Walmart, etc. So we've got a national presence and have been around for a decade. And we got started on Amazon and saw great success there. But as we grew and as the category grew, I'm sure you've seen all kinds of changes in the category. We knew we needed to change. We knew that we were going to have to keep up with the times, and we needed data, and we needed to know the category and our customer really well. Things were changing very quickly. Stanley was really growing like crazy, and then Awala and just all sorts of change in the category. We had economic uncertainty last year with tariffs, where we saw our tariff rate go to 150%, and customers were feeling that pain. And we've got audiences that are different in urban areas or suburban areas or rural areas. And so I knew that I needed more information if I was going to lead the marketing team forward. And so what did I need from insights? What was I looking for? And what do I continue to look for? Obviously, it's depth. I want to know the why behind the sales trends and decisions. Obviously, you can see something on a spreadsheet, but it's not super helpful if you have no idea, like, why is that? Why is that brand growing? Why is that brand shrinking? Is it just retail price? Is it a product? Like, we needed to know more about why. And so we needed to find insights there. We needed to get insights quickly. We were doing some research, but we were doing it biannually. And really, with the rate of change that was going on in the category, I needed to get information quicker if I was going to know where I needed to put resources and what messaging we need to have and what products we needed to have next. We are, we're about a $250 million at retail sales brand. So I don't have a major budget for a ton of research. And so affordability was really important for me. And then I needed to be actionable. So I needed to know the why. I needed it quickly. I needed it affordably. I needed to be able to create action immediately. And so we started partnering with Listen to try to get a lot of those insights that we were looking for. And really, it was hard. Before Listen, it was really hard for us to understand the whys behind what we were seeing in the category. What we were doing up to that point was we were doing customer surveys. We've got hundreds of thousands of people in our email list, and so we're able to ask them questions. But obviously, that's a bit of a biased segment for people that have already bought our product, already aware of our product. It was a little over-indexed on Oklahoma because we do well here. If we do focus groups, which we do and have done, they're not great representative samples of the nation, obviously, and not quite as diverse of insights as we'd like, which led us to have to make too many decisions on our gut. And so we were having to use a little bit of data and say, I think this is what's happening in the category. I think this is where we need to go. And so it was hard before Listen to understand. This is one of my favorite quotes as it relates to that time, because we would say this to ourselves all the time. It says, Mark Twain said, it ain't what you don't know that gets you in trouble. It's what you know for sure that just ain't so. And so we would ask ourselves, what are we believing to be 100% true that maybe isn't so? And so we were like, we got to do better than that. We've got to find the whys, and so that we aren't believing things that aren't really true.
Yeah.
So,
thank you so much, Chris.
Alfred, yeah.
It's been super fascinating working together on this, and that Mark Twain quote was kind of really illustrative of the problem that we saw when we were at Harvard and we were doing a research project on qualitative research moderated by AI. Because we realized that surveys is great, but you don't get the why, you don't get the depth. And qual is also fantastic, but it's hard to scale. And so we realized that if you do both, if you do qualitative research at scale, you get the best of both worlds. And that is the power of Listen. And now from this research project, we have raised $100 million, and we work with hundreds of enterprises, and we got invested from the first investor in Qualtrics as well. And so we quickly have built out this AI-first end-to-end research platform. We can go from coming up with the questions to finding the participants to moderating the interviews and analyzing the data. And we're building out this platform, adding augmented users or synthetic simulated users as well in the future.
And Chris, you can see here, this is just a sample of the kinds of respondents that we have gotten from working with Listen. And this is just this sort of diversity of different backgrounds and ages. Like it's so helpful. And they definitely have different needs. And so it's been really helpful for us to understand all the people in the category and how we can meet their needs.
Yeah. And Chris, you've been so creative of how you use Listen. And here's just a snapshot of a few of the use cases. So things like persona and regional research, understanding how different segments are thinking about the category, pricing and sentiment tracking, brand tracking, if you will, as well, brand perception, what's the difference between Simple Modern and others in this category, both qualitative and quantitatively. And then feature and category innovation, like concept testing. And now with emotional understanding, you're also able to detect the emotional, visceral reactions to how people react to your new products. And then message testing, of course. One thing that we also see as a huge benefit of AI is the ability to run kind of multi-market studies. The AI can speak 100 plus languages, and we can recruit for that as well. And we have a 30 million size of the participant pool that we can access. And maybe Chris, you can give a little more detail here. Yeah.
Let me just give a case study here of how we've used it. That was great. So one big question we had last year in our business, we had seen our coffee products continuing to grow, and we didn't know, is this a place that customers want us to play? Is this a place where we think that we can win? Is this, we just wanted to understand better, how big of an opportunity this was and what were people looking for in coffee. And so it was really important for us to hear beyond our backyard. Oklahoma City, 20th largest metro area in the country, but still very suburban. And so we needed to hear, what do urban coffee drinkers, what do they need? What are their desires? What sort of features do they want? We wanted to understand, because there are different levels of coffee love. And so from people that are just casual coffee drinkers to coffee snobs, we really wanted to understand, like, are you going to be open to a more mass brand? Or is it like, no, with my drinkware, as well as with my beans and my machines, I got to have, a really high end, expensive brand, or is a brand like Simple Modern for a coffee snob as well. And then we just wanted to understand, just the last point there was, how did people, respond? And so the response was really positive, and people said, this is the kind of brand that I would use. These are the features that are important to me, and so we've invested more in coffee as a result of this study. And so, you can move on now, Alfred. But for us, AI surfaces signals, and it still is up to us to decide, like, what are we going to do? And so with the coffee example, we were like, yes, like we need to keep investing here, and we need to develop new products, and we'll have new products in coffee coming out in the fall as a result of this. And because we felt like it was in line with what we were hearing. But sometimes you get a signal in a study and you're like, I don't know, I'm not sure that I want to act on that. And an example here is we were talking to our customers to understand, like, who influences them, what kind of music are they listening to, what sort of social media channels are they on, et cetera, et cetera. And there was in the summary that the AI produced, it gave a particular musical artist and said, this person is really important to your demographic. And then we got into the data a little bit and realized actually it was only about 2% of the respondents mentioned it. It had been mentioned, so it wasn't making it up, but it did over highlight that particular artist. And so there is still this this partnership between the AI and the humans using it to make sure that, like, you're getting value out of it, which is totally fine, because it saved me hours and hours and thousands of dollars to get to that. So, and then what do we do to pressure test to make sure that, like, these AI insights are like something that we want to take action on? And you can see the slide here, but basically it's like, we run the studies, we get over 100 respondents, and then we look at the responses and just ask ourselves, does that make sense? Do we think that is actually a widespread thought? And so what we can do is and the system is so good, it will give you the quote. You can click on the quote, you can watch the video, and you can see this person talking about it, and then you can see, okay, then you can ask in a chat bot, like, how many people mentioned this particular artist? It's like, oh, okay. And there's this whole conversation that happens where you can cross-check very quickly whether or not the data is good. And so what we do is we compare it with, like, what we know, because we're doing other research. We're still doing surveys with our customers to understand things. But like it says here, we don't blindly trust the AI, and we also don't blindly trust ourselves. But we use these two hand in hand to make sure that that what we're doing is going to lead to the sort of insights that drive our business.
Yeah, and I think, Chris, that's really good highlighting that. Look, the human is going to be even more important now. The researcher is going to be empowered, and that's what we see, because we see that we're kind of moving a lot of the researchers that we work with from sometimes executing on the day-to-day to being more strategic. And because they're able to move faster, you get more upstream influence. You're able to, because of the AI consolidation, where you can put all of your insights in one place, you're able to have fewer vendors, so you can be more strategic with the vendors that you work with. And it's kind of changing success metrics, where it used to be tracking time to field, where now we're getting researchers like Chris. I mean, Chris is a CMO, but we also work with more classical researchers who are able to take those insights and actually come up with new products, new marketing campaigns, and really drive action and decision. And that's been really exciting to see how we can play a small part in making that transition happen. And so in summary, like, I feel strongly that AI will not replace researchers. Instead, you will be able to kind of remove the tactical drudgery so you can make better, faster, more strategic business decisions and kind of focus on what is important here versus being stuck in cleaning data and these kind of things. And so we've seen some incredible case studies across multiple markets, and we think that the researcher who learn how to use AI will really, really win big in 2026. Because Google, for example, a single researcher at Google ran 200 interviews across 10 global markets, which used to have to, they used to have to hire 10 different agencies to do that well, and it would take 3 to 4 months. And P&G, some of the researchers there have told us they're now actually 20 times faster when it comes to product messaging and packaging decisions. Anthropic, the AI behind Claude, they are now able to interview every single customer that churns from their product using AI interviews, and they've been able to significantly reduce their churn. And of course, we have our living case study right here with us, a CMO that functions as a full-on kind of insights team. So it's pretty empowering to see how AI can be used in these different ways. But we've hyped up the platform a lot, so I wanted to give you a very brief overview of Listen. And also, I'm here for questions if there's anything that you want to ask in the meantime. But you can dig into the platform. You're able to see my screen, right? Yep. The product. Great. So we'll start here by asking a question. So I can say, I want to interview users of Gemini and ChatGPT to see how they're different. Just a simple question. And Listen will then take this short input and use our expertise. We've trained the model to follow the best practices in research. So it's a product that's built by researchers for researchers. And so it's able to take in the background, create the study goal. This is key to make sure the AI is aligned when it analyzes and when it comes up with the right questions. And then it creates the screener for you. So you don't have to think about coming up with that and testing. It even creates the fake kind of trapdoor questions to make sure you avoid fraudulent responses. And then it creates both open-ended and closed-ended questions. And we have a concept test that can be monadic, if you will. And you can just chat with it here to say, add in Grok as well from X, whatever, and the other AI model. And then it's able to take that input and quickly act on it. So it's able to update all of the questions that relate to that. And of course, you can always export this and have it available in Word if you want to as well. And you can share it with your team and just go back and forth on these things, upload it back to Listen, and it will adapt to it.
Yeah, and I'll even give an example on that, Alfred. Like we have a study going right now where we're testing. We've got some new products that we're thinking about launching, and we're going to get feedback. And I was able to download the questions, send it to our product development team, and say, "Hey, are these the things you want to know?" And then I was able to add them back. So very, very helpful to have the screener and the whole study available in that way.
Oh, thank you, Chris. Yeah, that's great. Yeah, and then just to show you kind of a sense of what is this interview? Well, typically we do video interviews. We can do video, audio, and text. And you can show media here, like a website or ads, concepts. And Chris has done all of the above.
Yeah.
But you can also then preview the interview here. And sometimes with the webinar setup, like sometimes that is an issue. We should have tested that. We can see if the demo gods is on our side, but it's very possible that it's not, but we can see. Okay, there it is. Let me see. Great. I think it's because of the webinar. Now it works. Okay, great. So yeah, tell me about the last time. Okay, let me see. Okay. Yeah, tell me about the last time you used AI assistant. What were you trying to accomplish, and how did it go? Yeah, I was just using an AI assistant, 15 minutes ago, trying to fix my speech at this webinar, and it was quite stressful. But it gave me some good pointers of what to say and what not to say. And then Listen will take that as a follow-up question, and it empathizes with you, it understands you, and it's able to dig into the tangential aspects to really get to the ultimate study goal, which is understanding how these things are used differently. And so that is a sense of kind of the follow-up questions, and it can go pretty deep, but it always follows the semi-structured setup that you have already set up here. And then the next step is launching, and we have 30 million participants, so we can just click start recruitment, if you will. We also have a custom recruiting team if you want to work with them. And we can get B2B, B2C, any kind of sample that you want. We've probably done it, also international. You can also recruit your own as well if you want. So you can just use the link as well. Yeah, and then we ran this study in the past. So we have 300 interviews, and it gives you kind of an overview with real videos, and you can see how folks are answering. And people tend to actually love talking to the AI, and they give a lot of details, as you can see here. And this is across demographics, across segments. We find that enterprise buyers who are 65 plus actually give a lot of detail to the AI. Yeah. And after those interviews, it will take all of them and synthesize it into an executive summary, a charts, and kind of key highlights. It even creates highlight reels automatically based on your study goal. And it will give you kind of implications and recommendations and things to keep in mind. And of course, these things are all exportable into Word, into PowerPoint, and all of these different outputs that you need. Just to show you the PowerPoint export as well. Here's an example. It's all now. We're also adding the ability to upload your templates, so it's able to create slides directly in your templates via our chat too. And the chat I want to show you as well. That is one of the most powerful things in the product, where it's a full-on agent that's able to reason and think. Here I'm asking, how are the different segments and how do they compare? And it can actually write code and do very complex quantitative analysis as well, different segmentation logic, linear regression. It creates custom charts too. So here on demand, it just drafted off this chart. And you can also ask it to create slides in this way. And Chris, by the way, this is relatively new. Maybe you haven't got the chance to play around with it, but
some of it I have, but some of it is new for me. I look forward to using it.
Amazing. Yeah, great highlight reel of this. So you can just ask it like, hey, can you create a highlight reel? But here you can see how it's able to think about the different ages and how they think about ChatGPT in this case. But you can be super pointed here and upload even, hey, here's the presentation I'm thinking about giving. Can you adapt it based on this? Yeah. Or what is this product idea? Does this resonate with my customers? And because that's something we see now, that we have the ability to also ask questions across all of your studies. So it builds this repository where I can summarize the most important studies in Listen. And finally, the last feature I'll show you is the ability to actually analyze all of the emotions as well. So we're the first AI that can also take in video, audio, and verbal communication, summarize that, and give you how the people actually feel, not just what they say. And we've noticed that this is exceptionally powerful in concept testing, where you can get reactions to ads, for example. And in this case, you can see happiness, and you're able to see, you probably can't hear the audio, but you can see that she has like a happy expression in this case. So that is a quick overview of Listen. I'm very excited. If you want to do a deep dive, reach out to us, and Diana has the link to book a demo. But I would love to hear more. And thank you so much for listening to this conversation. I'm happy to take any questions you might have.
All right, we've got some good ones. One came in for you, Chris. Specifically, they were just asking, how about you as a marketer? Do you see AI-fueled qualitative research, becoming a more important tool in your 2026 toolkit? The person says they could see it being used to test everything from message testing to, understanding feedback on creative assets. So where do you see AI-fueled qual in your plans for the coming year?
Yeah, I mean, in 2025, it was already a massive part of our research. And so, yeah, I don't know why in 2026 it wouldn't stay that way. I mean, we're testing, like I said, we've got some new product ideas we're testing right now. We're going to want to test people's sentiment on, we've got ad campaigns that we're going to be launching. Like there's all kinds of things that I'm going to want to get feedback from people on. And so, yeah, my needs are not going to decline, and even in the last month, I can tell that the tool is getting even better, and so I can't imagine where we would be in a year from now on the tool. So yeah, it will definitely be a key part of what we do.
Sure. Alfred, this might be a little bit better for you to answer. They're asking how good the AI is at asking follow-up questions, that can yield interesting directions or new product ideas. And then, does it apply whatever input it gets from that to the next interview, kind of iterating the interview as it goes along?
Yes, great question. Yeah, so we have trained the AI to follow the best practices in moderation, and we spent a lot of resources to get this right, and we're always iterating on it as well. But overall, we see that one of the interesting things is that people are more honest talking to an AI. They can be really, really open about what they actually think, because it's just a time when they can reflect to an entity that's very empathetic and listens to them. And for some people, it's really kind of a fun thing to just be able to openly reflect. And so you can get much stronger reactions to concepts or pricing or brand whether like compared to when you have someone else there. And so it can actually learn across the interviews, and it adapts all of that into the business context, and it will ask better follow-up questions based on that.
Sure. Another one for you, Alfred. I think she's just asking about, all the AI models are always constantly evolving. How does Listen think about and, use newer models? Are they going to stay with sort of the existing models that they validated and tested, or always be sort of checking out some of the newer ones that might be developed?
Yeah, we're constantly updating the models. And my co-founder was at Tesla Autopilot before, so he has an incredible machine learning background as well. So we're always using the latest and greatest, and this field is ever changing, which is exciting.
Oh, totally. And I think you touched on this a little bit in the demo, but Elizabeth was looking for more information about how the AI moderates the interviews. Is it a verbal exchange or all typed written or something else? I saw you did during the demo, you did your video input there. Just talk about some of the ways that the interview gets information.
Yeah, it's audio, and the AI can also speak, and it's a kind of a full a multimodal experience. You can also do screen recording, so you can have your users share on mobile or on desktop, go through, for example, shopping journey, so you can do live shopping, if you will. You can have them share, get feedback on your website, all these things.
Sure. And I think you touched a little bit on this about, comfort with AI moderators, but Chris, have you noticed anything, or did you get any commentary from the research subjects? Anybody who's, comfortable talking to an AI moderator versus a human one, or any thoughts on that?
They all seem, like Alfred said, very comfortable. I've not, they don't seem uncomfortable at all. I mean, I think people are used to using their phones. Most of these people are like sitting on their couch with their phones, and it seems very natural. Yeah, I feel very confident that what they're sharing is exactly what they're thinking, and is very natural. Yeah, I don't think there's any issue with that at all.
Sure. And then Chris, too, for you, any difficulties in sort of explaining to your internal clients or internal customers the nature of the data that you were presenting to them and how it was obtained? I mean, any hesitancy about AI and we don't know about that or anything like that? So
no, I mean, our company is pretty forward thinking. Our CEO, for example, is very much thinking about AI and has been for years. And so it seemed very natural to our leadership team to use AI. And we're a small team. We're always looking for ways that we can, get leverage with smaller investments. And so no, the team never questioned. And I can show, hey, if you're not sure where this came from, here's the video. Here's a snippet of that video. Here's the person that said that. These are the demographics. And so I think the way that you can show your work using Listen really reduces the amount of second guessing about what we get.
Sure. Question here too, Alfred, I think for you, just asking about how you make sure that there isn't fraud, or that the respondents are real.
Yeah, I mean, that's a huge problem in our industry overall. And that was frankly one of the most shocking things that I realized as I kind of really entered this industry, where one example, we had one of the largest market research firms, one of the firms that have billions of dollars in revenue. I'm not going to name any names, but they told us they were recruiting B2B senior cloud decision makers, like the ones deciding if they should use Microsoft or Google. And then they came to our platform over video, and it's clearly not any of these people. It's people who can barely speak English. They are in the wrong time zone. The video shows that they're should be in the middle of the night, but they're actually, it's the day for them. And there's like just a ton of problems in this industry with fraud. And it's kind of a crazy thing that we allow that to happen. And the problem is that everyone is incentivized to kind of hide things as much as possible. And so we try to set up our system where we force ourselves to have the right incentives. So that's why we do mostly video. That's why it's open-ended, and that makes it just much harder to be fraudulent because you have to really speak cogently about something, and you can just tell immediately if someone is making stuff up. And then we have a system called the Quality Guard, and that is an AI that will check consistency across all of our interviews, and it will connect that to LinkedIn, to your passport information, and to make sure that you are who you claim you are. And it constantly checks for these things, and fraudsters are becoming ever more sophisticated. So this is going to be a constant battle, but one that I will fight very valiantly to make this very, very secure platform, and it's our key priority.
Another question here, they're just asking about how AI moderation compares to humans. What is it? Could it potentially miss things like emotions or nuances that a human interviewer or moderator might pick up on?
Yeah, I'm curious what you think, Chris, if you've seen this, or the emotional understanding piece is actually a new release. So I'm curious what you've seen.
Yeah, I haven't seen. Another question we had was like sarcasm. Are people saying things that they don't mean sarcastically? We haven't seen that. It does seem like people give honest answers. Anytime I see something that's like out of expectation, it's like, well, let me just. Who said that? What they say? And it always seems legitimate to me. I don't. But it is a question. I mean, it is a risk that you might miss something there. But I look forward to seeing, Alfred, the tool with the emotional ratings and that sort of stuff. But you can also I think ask questions and like set up the survey in such a way that like they're not going to give a really emotional response where it's like, do you like this thing or do you like this thing more? How do you use a tumbler? Something like that. Like those sorts of questions I don't think emotion comes into it. And so I think you can use the tool in such a way too, where it's like, you're not leaning on emotional answers, but it's like, no, these are very straightforward questions. And that's been most helpful for us. But I'm not sure how you feel about how the tool is going, Alfred, with the new emotional capabilities.
Yeah, I mean, this is ever evolving for us, and keep expertise that we're trying to build. I think it's not quite there yet where it's like as good as an expert moderator, but it's getting there, and people sometimes open up a lot to it. As I mentioned, it's able to pick up on that as well. I remember one time I was doing an interview with someone using Google Maps, and they told the story of how they saw their grandfather in the street view who passed away, and they actually kind of started getting teary-eyed, and then the AI was able to pick up on that through the video and kind of give them show a lot of empathy, and they actually appreciated that. So it feels kind of alien, but AIs will become more and more important as kind of entities that help us understand each other, and someone you can talk to if you need to.
Sure. Had a couple questions along this line, just talking about, I guess, sample or where you get your respondents from, third-party data collection vendor, or, Chris, bring your own in, or how does that work, and especially in the platform itself?
Yeah. So we use third parties as well as our own proprietary panel. And we have kind of an AI orchestration layer in the back end that both checks for fraud across all of the vendors, even the third-party vendors, because the IDs are consistent. And two, also is able to understand which of these vendors should we use. And across the industry, there's 200 plus vendors, and some of them are higher quality and some are not. And they have specific niches as well, like healthcare or Gen Z. There's some incredible panels for that. So we have built that intelligence into the platform. And then we're also quickly kind of building our own and use different ways of profiling everyone. As we do more interviews, we learn more about these people, and so we're able to retarget based on that. We don't train on any of the data between clients, but we do use it for understanding who are the people in the panel, if that makes sense.
Sure. Well, I think we've gotten to all the questions here. Any that weren't answered, I think, can be reached out to afterwards, online or offline. But thanks very much, Chris and Alfred, and thanks to Listen for the great content today. We really appreciate everybody out there who joined us. So thanks very much, and enjoy the rest of your day.
Thank you so much for listening.
Thank you.